Greetings and salutations, listener. It is I, Eric J. Chucci, joined as always by the man who makes me half a challenge rating, the boy. And we have the Two Nerds podcast for you today. Before we get down to the met and patet, please like, comment, and subscribe. All those things actually really help us out. And if for some reason you don't want to do that, circulate the video, because the more people with eyes on us, the happier we be, because we get them sweet, sweet YouTube pennies. Speaking of pennies, if you head to the link in the description, you can go to Super Blizzard's Shining Wizzato page. His song Let's Get Hardcore is our theme music. He also gave us Shadows Over Hell for my gameplay end slates. So, yeah, let's toss some awesome money his way, too. You can also check out his games. Why don't you list some of those games, the boy?
Long Live the Axe.
Hell yeah.
Joy Lancer.
Yes.
I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Puppet Kingdom.
Puppet Kingdom. I always forget.
There's something else he's got, too. He does all kinds of shit. He's amazing and nice. Lives in Seattle and just makes video games and songs about wrestling.
And tweets really interesting stuff.
Yeah, he's a curious bird. I like him. But today, we are doing it the school of old. Lately, we've had top 10 lists and little questionnaires ready, but we're just gonna fucking chittity chat.
We, as you know, listener, we reached out to you a couple weeks ago at this point to get ideas for topics. One of the topics, Cat is playing with Salt for some reason, one of the topics that you suggested was our favorite D&D monsters.
Well, I believe it was just a sort of a look at stock D&D monsters, which I had interpreted to be like YouTubers react. Like, look at this motherfucker.
This is a stupid thing. Yeah, no.
But you kind of thought we were going to do a top 10 list.
Because we've been doing so many recently.
Yeah, but no, I didn't want to go, I just thought this was going to be a really fun, light, fluffy podcast before we get into the 2 weeks of wrestling, I think is what we got coming up.
Yeah, 2 weeks of wrestling. So, to give the other part of our listenership who doesn't really give two fucks about professional wrestling something to chew on till then, we're going to be talking about D&D monsters today.
Yes.
I'm going to try and keep it specifically to D&D monsters because there's other role-playing game monsters I love, but I don't want to talk about them because, one, they're not part of the podcast idea, and two, at least a couple of them are from a role-playing game system that isn't out yet.
Someday we will talk about it, Ultimo, and you will know, but today is not that day.
Today is about dungeons, and much more importantly, dragons.
Hell yeah.
I think that's a good place to start.
I think it is too.
What would you say is like the most useful dragon? Like, what one have you used the most?
Gosh, what a question. I want to say probably black or green. For whatever reason, really? I really dig the line of acid stuff, and black is more aquatic traditionally, but I think, now these numbers aren't huge by any stretch of the imagination.
Whereas I've probably used a lot more dragons.
Sure, but I haven't. Now you were using them in 4th edition. I don't know how much that counts.
You know what, mechanically it counts. I didn't change any of their mechanics.
That's fair.
I kept all their mechanics. They weren't actually dragons, I was DMing a Star Wars game at the time, using 4th edition as the rules base and just refluffing everything, because as I've said 1,000 times on the podcast, that's trivially easy in 4th edition. And I was using them as like giant mecha battle droids and, really powerful bounty hunters, and that I would use dragons as the base, change their size category if necessary, and then use their attacks as various other attacks. So the mechanics of dragons in 4th edition, real fucking cool.
The combat mechanics in 4th edition are really fucking cool, because it's the only thing that game did well, and it did it so amazingly well. Combat in 4th edition is fun, and it might take you a whole fucking session, but it's enriching, and you get a lot out of it.
It was the focus, and it showed.
But now, for me personally, like, what dragons do I like? I wish I'd played more Pathfinder, because it seems like they have really fucking interesting dragons with, like, chlorine breath and shit.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah. But I always liked the metallic dragons. Because I don't know, like, I thought they were more interesting. Because, okay, what does a blue dragon do? Lightning. What does a red dragon do? Fire. What does a silver dragon do? I don't fucking know. That's interesting.
Blue Dragon's not, like, lightning doesn't leak to them.
Okay, I would have done water if I had been doing D&D.
Like steam.
Ice, maybe?
Ice.
But that's the white dragon.
Yeah, white dragon's very clearly ice. I'd have done, like, steam. Steam seems like a cool breath weapon. I can kill the fuck right out of you.
You just, like, it breathes at you and your wallet's empty as you get small games.
You know what? The only reason you made that awful joke is because you have steam open.
Fuck you, it's great. Listener is laughing so hard right now that I'm stalling for time so that they can recover.
It's very polite.
Yeah, I'm nice. Unlike some people with beards who are not me and are on this podcast, named the boy.
You took that just far enough to be funny, damn.
I saved up my breath for it. That's my breath weapon, is cutting verbiage.
Oh.
That's about the nerdiest joke we've ever made on this podcast. And last week we sang SpongeBob.
Fuck you, I'm keeping that. I am keeping that as a breath weapon. I'm going to make a bitch dragon in the next game that I DM its fantasy, and its breath weapon will be cutting verbiage.
Oh. Really? You went with the leather armor? Couldn't even spring for studs?
Oh, you took 3d6 damage. As he throws shade at your outfit.
Excuse me, is that a halberd? Couldn't you have sprung for a glaive? Oh, man.
Oh, really a bastard sword? That's so last season.
Let me guess, you bought it because there's bastard in the title. I like this.
Oh, I already love this fucking
Yeah,
character.
this dragon's amazing. Reminds me of that fire elemental I wanted to run. What was his name? Kenneth? Kevin?
Ken. Just Kenny.
Just Ken. Ken was a fire elemental. Boy started this campaign. We wanted to do some one-on-one stuff for reasons. Not sex reasons.
Get your head out of the gutter.
But, and I was trying to think of a character, and I was like, maybe I'll play an ice elf. Maybe I'll play a this. Maybe I'll play a that. I really wanted to be a bard at first. And then I was like, he was telling me all the races in his setting, and I'm like, oh, I could be a fire elemental.
Alright, and I need to clarify, in the setting that I had made for this game, fire elementals are living tornadoes of fire.
It's like, I could always go around trying to save the day, but just end up burning everything down.
Good, Kenneth the Fire Elemental has helped.
That forest is full of goblins. I'm on it. Our forest is gone. You're welcome.
He'll be known as the... I'm still stuck on that dragon. He would be known as the Great Cat Dragon. Yeah. But when you meet him, he looks like a perfectly normal dragon with exceptionally shiny scales. And, and like people see him, why is he called the Cat Dragon? He is a catty bitch.
He is full of sass. He drank the sass sauce this morning.
He is the sassiest dragon. I love him. I love this sassy dragon. I will keep him.
Oh man. Okay, but back on track instead of our little fantasy land. Somebody else's fantasy land. So, okay, we're not doing a top 10, but if you had a favorite monster that you like to employ in games.
Gnolls.
Yes, I mean, I like Gnolls to play, though, so.
Yeah. For me, monster, Gnolls. I love Gnolls.
I love Gnolls, too, but, like, as a race.
Yeah.
Not like as a, you guys gonna fight Gnolls. No, fuck it.
Yeah, the reason is because in every setting I DM, which is a great contrast to all the Gnolls you play, orcs are actually, they're kind of tits, but they can be reasonable. Gnolls are assholes.
Yeah, I remember the Gnolls from our, most recent fantasy session with you.
Gnolls are assholes. That's their defining characteristic. They are atavistic, they are douchebags, they have no sympathy for anything that isn't a gnoll, and they want to eat you in all likelihood. And they're mean. Like, just mean.
Yeah, I remember.
Unfriendly.
They're like the big bad wolf.
Yeah.
As a race.
Yeah.
Which, that's kind of cool, I love Gnolls. I love playing Gnolls. I don't use them. As monster fodder, but I really like what you've done with them there. They feel very iconic and individual without taking too much away from being a gnoll. Mm-hmm. I don't think I really have. Like, you've played in my games. Is there something that I've employed more than other stuff?
Well, it kind of depends on the kind of flavor of game you're going for. I mean, to be completely honest, yes, there is one type of monster that you use way more than any other.
I'm curious.
Man! Yes, man!
Oh,
that most evil of monsters!
Well, I was thinking about it right over here, and, like, because of the way my adolescence in gaming went, which was not too long after my actual adolescence, I usually did either big set-piece monsters or big set-piece fights with enemy NPCs.
Yeah. You are much more of a fighting dudes guy.
And, I think
monsters usually as a set piece, or since we've don't really use many random encounters anymore. Back when we used random encounters, we used monsters a lot more.
Yeah.
We'd run into them, usually like unthinking beasts who were probably just trying to eat us. But now that we don't do many random encounters, the monsters we encounter are usually, even then, they're almost always sentient monsters.
Sure.
The player characters of your campaigns are often really awful people because they murder almost nothing but sentient creatures.
Well, I think, and I was thinking about this. I thought about it at work when I had a time to think, and I thought about it on the ride home. I think it comes from me being such an animal lover, and not just like, when people are like, "Oh, I'm an animal lover. I like dogs and cats." That's it. I love every fucking animal under the sun. From the buggiest bug to the flyingest bird.
He wants a giant slug as a pet.
Snail. A giant African land snail. Because they call them gals for short. They are awesome. You should look them up on YouTube. They are illegal in the United States, and I can't have one because they're a violently invasive species.
They really super duper are.
Yeah, they're hermaphroditic, so you just need more than one, and they will make 1,000,000, and they will eat fucking everything.
There are farmers in Africa who have been driven out of their homes by land snails eating all their crops.
But you know what I like about the Africans? They turn that into a good situation. They start eating the fuckers.
Yep. Look, alright, you gonna get got, one way or another.
One way or another, I like it.
They get their shit done, okay?
Oh my god, I saw a video of someone feeding one mealworms, and it was just amazing. I digress. I love animals so much. So even in my early DMing days, the enemies were traps and people and robots. I'm okay with robots. If the setting permits. So when you ran into a monster, it had just as much, if not more likelihood to be a nice, friendly monster.
Or to, maybe try and get you, but once you show that you are not forgetting, you are not food, it just fucks off.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I don't feel like dying, and I have nothing against you personally, so I'm gonna leave.
Now there are monsters I've liked fighting. I mean, I certainly don't have anything against it. Like, I love carrion crawler battles because there's just enough panic without it being too dangerous. Like, and the penalty's not that bad. Like, vampires and whites, that's a little too punishing.
Oh, whites are a bitch. Alright.
Not as bad as old school vampires.
I need to clarify something. And you know probably what I'm going to be talking about.
With that I'm not a bitch? No, I can't be the sass dragon?
Well, I mean, you could. But I feel like it's my duty.
That's fair.
No, I need to clarify this. I have a complex relationship with undead as an enemy in D&D.
Yeah, why don't you, without, burning any innocent bridges there, why don't you tell Ultimo Dragon this story? I don't think he's heard it.
There's no bridges to burn. This guy knows.
Well.
One of my old DMs, back when I was a teenager in high school, was, how best to put this?
New?
No, not
Untrained?
new. No. This was a fucking intentional thing.
Oh, okay.
He was a fanboy for undead.
Oh.
So, facing undead in one of his campaigns was the shittiest experience. Because they were like the fucking Terminator. He really played up how hard they can be to kill. You were fighting a zombie, in D&D, you had better get a headshot, and it had better be something special, because all his fucking undead had damage reduction. Of some type. Usually silver, but, of some type. And this was fucking, a universal rule, so you better have the right tools on hand, and you better be good at your job, or you're just gonna get fucking murdered. By the lowliest zombie, it will just keep coming for you. You cut off its legs, it will crawl. You cut off its hands, they will still crawl after you, and so will it.
Which is a cool option, but when that's what all the undead do, it's kind of trying. Especially if somebody's using them as frequently as I'm given to understand this gentle sir did.
They were a favorite, and for one of the longest campaigns, a campaign that I got from 120 on, as a wizard, I might add, in 2nd edition, we were fighting a necromancer for large parts of it.
Delightful.
Yeah. No.
Clearly the opposite of that.
I ended up winning the campaign.
That was the one where you nuked Menza Baranzan, wasn't it?
No, that was playing a sorcerer in that.
Oh, okay.
Long story short...
You play a sorcerer?
They wouldn't let me play wizard.
Oh, that's fair. Okay. Fine, you motherfuckers, I'll take Wizard B.
We transitioned into the 2nd, 3rd edition hybrid that they like to play. Yes, that was as awful as it sounds. And...
Let's take rules that don't work and mash them together with rules that don't fucking work! Yeah!
It was... I'm not going to say it was the worst parts of both, because that would be unkind. But that's the only reason I'm not going to say that. How best to put this? I was playing a sorcerer, because I had... The last campaign before that was the campaign where I played a wizard, and I ended up destroying the campaign.
Oh, I remember that story. But this podcast is about monsters.
Yeah. Anyway, to get back on track, fucking the undead were a favorite enemy type, and I have mixed feelings about it. That's why you actually... I haven't really fought many undead since then in straight up D&D, because you avoided them for a long time.
Yeah,
because I tended to just react violently.
Zombies are pretty easy fodder. I mean, if I have to use something a lot, it's probably going to be zombies, just because they're baby stuff, you know? Killing a zombie is cheesecake.
Remember the first time you brought out an undead?
Yeah, it's like just a zombie, and you were like... Fuck that
I was playing a monk at the time. I used all my best abilities. I set the corpse on fire once it was done, and then I buried it in 2 different places.
Later.
And then he was looking at me what the fuck, dude? It's just a zombie. No, fuck you. I've been here before.
Later, we got on the ghost train. This is the campaign I did that was Final Fantasy VI. So we're on the ghost train, and there's all these ghosts that attacked you at once, and you used your monk punches to punch every ghost. I had given him this homebrew-ass power that was broken as fuck, but I didn't care. We were having fun. And,
I had done a thing to deserve a reward, and because I was a monk, he couldn't give me gold, so he gave me special tricks. And the trick was a power that let me hit for a melee attack, and then if I hit again. Until I missed.
I think we changed it after that to where you couldn't hit multiple targets. It had to be the same guy.
Yeah. Oh, no, actually, you just traded out for a different power.
That might have been It's been aeons ago, so...
But, yeah, no, and I kept going until I missed.
He punched every ghost on that train.
These ghosts had an AC of fucking 10, but ghosts in that edition of D&D have a percent likelihood to just not get hurt by your shit.
Was that Spaz? You're a fan of Rust Monsters. I am too.
Yes, so am I. I was going to get to Rust Monsters.
I love Rust Monsters.
They had a percent likelihood to just not get hurt by your shit. So I think I ended up punching them. We determined that I had to roll a 1 to actually miss, and I just rolled an arbitrary number of times, 70 or 80, and I said, so, should I roll for damage?
He punched every ghost.
And then we got right the fuck off that train.
Yeah. The train was like, alright, fuck off. I'm sorry, jeez. Anyway, Rust Monsters. I mean,
I was going to get to Rust Monsters.
Actually, before we get to that, I would like to bring up, a little feather in my cap, the loving catharsis. On my last 3rd edition campaign. And I've talked to you guys about this before, but just as a quick refresher so you don't have to go back and listen to a whole podcast, I did one final 3rd edition campaign because I fucking hate the system and refuse to DM it ever again. And I tied up a lot of 3rd edition campaigns that we'd orphaned for one reason or another. And part of it was they all went to 4 different temples, and they met up with characters from previous games.
I remember this.
And boys was playing a wizard.
One of my wizards who had died in a previous campaign.
Well, yeah, but you were also there with your wizard. It was double wizard town.
No, my wizard went to a different temple.
Did he?
He went to the air temple.
Puck went to the air temple because he could jump around.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, it was my wizard.
Yeah, it was double Wizard Town, and you were like, but this wizard has all these spells. And I'm like, go nuts with your other wizard. You're like, oh, yeah, this wizard had died, like a bad fucking roll. Like that roll where the DM, and I was the DM, goes, oh shit, should I fudge that? No, I don't want to be that guy. But that's bad. He got a raw deal, basically. So, he goes through
That campaign was balanced around Brandy's character.
And Brandy's character had briefly left.
So, I was fucked.
So yeah, he goes through this entire temple with, there weren't any monsters there, it was more like traps and puzzles and stuff.
Yeah, there was traps, puzzles, there were some monsters, but we just left, because we were high-level wizards.
Yeah, you're just like, fuck you guys.
Fucking gaseous form, later thing.
And, the end boss was a lich. And you rolled him up into a fucking Rizzler and smoked him down in one big puff.
It was very satisfying.
It was cathartic, I think.
These two wizards, mind you, both, the other one had the spell list that was very in character. The other one had a spell list that I had made. He told me to go nuts, so I did the thing a wizard did, and if this wizard knew he was going to this temple that had a lich inside it, he made an anti-lich spell list. Like, out of all his spells, he went and prepared the fuck you liches spells. I hit him with 2 touch of idiocies, he had an intelligence of 2. We killed him with our staves.
Yeah, it was the rest of the zombies that were kind of attacking that kept the other wizard busy. And I mean busy in the sense of like, oh, I gotta use my turn for this. Not busy, it's like, who fight these zombies?
It's more like, alright, let's fucking hold still. Alright, go away. Alright, you guys are dead ash. Yeah, I have a complex relationship with undead.
Yeah. But yeah, rust monsters. I love them. Because of their depiction in the 3rd edition book, I decided the noise they make is meow.
They're fucking adorable in the 3rd edition book.
They made them less adorable in later books, but they're still pretty cute. And, like, I fought them. I mean, it's not like I was going into this with, like, this hippy-dippy mindset, like, that one looks adorable. No, I'd fought one before. It ate my fucking weapon, and I was mad. But whatever, it's cute as fuck. I don't give a shit. I ain't mad at it.
Metal is snacks. It's not its fault.
It's just, okay, I'll wrap my stuff up. Actually, I think after that I was like, alright, I'm gonna get a weapon that's not a grade of metal it wants, and a stick to poke them away with. Or no, I'd usually carry around some little iron filings and shit. And if we found rust monsters, I'd toss them on the ground, and they're like, sweet, yum, yum, yum.
Alright, let's go. Let's go.
He's busy, let's fuck off.
No need to fight this thing, it just wants noms.
But,
well, they're also depicted usually as not terribly aggressive. They're usually fighting you because it wants to nom your precious
yeah,
noms.
they're not so much about, well, they weren't, I don't know about now, but they just wanted to eat your metals.
So if you keep, like, fucking, here's some pig iron fucking nails that I picked up off this, keep a few nails in your pocket. And you see a rust monster, toss a fucking nail or so his way. He just fuck off. You go to the next room in the treasure house. It's fine. Treasure house.
Treasure
dungeon.
house, yeah, no,
Meaning dungeon.
It's
the place where treasure lives.
It's kind of funny that I don't have a lot of, like, big monster stories. Now, when I was...
Well, I mean, you have a couple that I could highlight. Like, your use of demons is usually pretty good.
In D&D?
Yeah, in D&D, yeah. Specifically, I'm thinking of one really cool boss battle we had against that chain demon.
I don't remember this at all. Enlighten me.
Oh yeah, this was totally
Enlighten me to how awesome I am.
This was totally you. We had gone into some place. This was a different... this was the campaign that eventually... No, it wasn't. I forget what campaign it was, but I remember it was you, and we were fighting a chain demon.
Okay.
Like, he was in a room full of fucking chains.
I like chitin, so that's not above and beyond the,
I keep wanting to say hook demon. That's a different thing.
Yes. In both D&D and Cult.
Yeah. But, yeah, he was in... We opened up a room full of chains, and then fucking guess what was in there? And we had to get through this room for
Oh, I remember this. It was like one of those campaigns that never went anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I can't remember which one it was, because there's a bunch of those. The use of demons otherwise is usually pretty sparing, but good when it is done.
Well, they're supposed to be really strong,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to just go tossing around demons.
Or devils.
Or whatever you've got.
Did a chain devil?
No. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Um...
Is it awful or chaotic? Who cares? Stab it.
Well, they also have different resistances too. But
yeah.
Regardless, what I did a lot when I was DMing my previous group is basically the flow of a campaign went, go somewhere, do an adventure, go somewhere, do an adventure, fight shit along the way. Do big plot elements every now and then. Do little episodes. And I had a lot of horror stuff. I did like an Evil Dead thing, and I did a 13 Ghosts thing, where they ran around fighting all these big set-piece monsters in order to collect parts of them to open the Oculary Infernum. And that's when they went in and one of my friend's characters took over Hell.
As you do.
Yeah, as you do. And then, once they would get to a certain level, and this happened about twice. One of the campaigns just plain finished, but there was another one where they went to, this, I don't know, bonus stage, basically, where they all just sort of had houses and lived their lives and fucked around until they felt like not fucking around. And then they would go to this arena and fight these huge monsters. And they actually bought me Monster Manual 3 because of this, to give me more fodder of huge-ass monsters to throw at them. So it became a big thing for me to get these giant fuck-off, unique shit. Like that thing that was made of corpses in 3rd edition.
Yeah.
That giant motherfucker.
The one that's basically a boss from an old Castlevania game.
Right. I don't remember any of these names off the top of my head, but there were all kinds of different giant monsters. You pull out your 3rd edition handbooks, look through the fucking thing. If you see a giant-ass monster that isn't your typical dragon or the Tarrasque, I probably had them fight it. But it was never like I used any one more than the others. I mean, it was always like, okay, we did this one, let's move on to the next one,
Yeah. Yeah.
I suppose in that way they were kind of playing Monster Hunter.
They were playing Monster Hunter.
And then since then, it's like you said, I don't really... because we stopped doing random encounters, it's all plot stuff. It's hard
the truest evil, man.
It's hard to build a plot around, hey, these fucking wargs are kind of dicks. I don't know. So I lay back on, horror, inescapable, monstrosity kind of things.
Speaking of inescapable monstrosities, some of my favorite monsters are aberrations.
Oh god, yeah. Same here.
I read Lords of Madness for 3rd edition, cover to cover, because I like aberrations. I love the fluff they introduced with Beholders. I actually just really like aboleths. I never get to use them for fucking anything, because, to put a fucking pin on it, that looks like a job for Aquaman.
Right, yeah.
But I love aboleths. They're fucking cool. Of all the aberrations, I think Mind Flayers are probably my least favorite. Because they're a lich. They're not a great, everyday enemy. They're not a great thing to be the primary enemy of your campaign, but they're a great final boss.
Yeah, I can see that. To me, for a long time, before they actually got the licenses and all that shit, or it went public domain, whichever happened, when D&D was trying to do Call of Cthulhu stuff with the Mind Flayers, instead of it being sort of mysterious and eldritch, it was just vague enough for me to not know what the fuck to do with them. It wasn't so much, the Mind Flayers, what could they be up to?
It was, Mind Flayers. Who fucking cares?
Yeah, what do we... It's fucking... They're annoying and they confuse me. Literally in-game. Oh god. That reminds me of my Umber Hulk NPC. He ran a shop. His name was Steve? Steve. He would sit around his shop with headphones on, the old school ones with a really thin connector and the 2 little puffy earpieces. Really small, shitty ones.
Think Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, exactly. Like Guardians of the Galaxy. On his big giant head, he would wear them. And he would be listening to Weezer on a little Walkman. And my campaigns were fucking weird. Before a certain point. And he would sit in his shop and read magazines and not pay any fucking attention to people unless they really, truly bothered him. But I was kind of, I don't want to say a Monty Hall DM, but I did give out a lot of shit.
You gave out a lot of, not exactly high-powered, but interesting magic items.
I gave out a lot of interesting magic items. Well, and a lot of it came from the fact that they never really, no one was ever like, okay, I want a +5 fire sword, you know? It was like, okay, I want a ridiculous item I am not allowed to have ever, because it's game-breaking, or, I don't know, what do you got? So, I would usually end up having to come up with something. So, he had a little magic item shop, and if people bothered him too much, he would take off his headphones, look at them, and with his real eyes, and say, do you know why my business is so successful? They would go, I don't know, because my prices are insane! And he'd hit them with the Umber Hulk confusion eyes. Hours of entertainment. There was actually a point where everybody thought that was funny enough that they sort of lined up to get it done to them. Or they just started bothering Steve until he did it. They also had a beholder who ran a shop. He was a nice guy. I don't fucking use monsters how you're supposed to. That's really the long and short of this podcast.
In terms of D&D monsters, like actual monsters, I'm trying to think of, when I've DM'd, like monsters that have been used. Oh, a side note, this came up to me when you were talking before about big monsters. I actually I love the Tarrasque as a thing in a setting. I hate it as a monster. This is from a design perspective.
Sure, no, I agree. And when we were setting up for this podcast, I said, I don't really know if I can talk about monster design so much. Because when I see a monster and I go, that's bad monster design, I kind of go, okay, that's a monster, and either I like it or I hate it, whatever. Whereas
I'm more design-minded for stuff like that.
But this, I will agree with you on, because
it's just bad monster design, man.
It has that problem of being such a big thing and having stats. I don't remember who said it. It was some prominent RPG person somewhere. But if you stat it, they will want to kill it.
It is commonly held RPG knowledge, and it fucking almost always holds true. If you give it stats, your players are going to want to murder it. That's why in Vampire the Masquerade, Kane's stats are you lose.
Well, and when I've designed my own RPGs, I will give you enough information that you can have a battle with the thingy, but you're not gonna, there's no hit point-o-meter. Sorry.
It's just, if you give it stats, they want to kill it. Because if you give it hardline stats, they start doing math. Okay, I need to be this level, I need to have a weapon that's at least this good, I need this many people, and if I do this in the so many rounds of combat, then I can kill it. Then I can be the guy who killed the thing. Yeah.
Which, that is kind of the point at high-level play with the Tarrasque. That's exactly what the Tarrasque was there to do. But at the same time, I think you kind of ruin its majesty, by giving it the stats. This takes us back to the time I don't even think they write this shit in the book anymore, but in second edition, and a little bit less, but still there in third, and definitely in the first edition, where part of the book said, hey, if you're the player, quit fucking reading. This is for the DM. You don't get to know. Because of shit like that, keeping the mystery alive and, oh god, the Tarrasque, it's here, it's wrecking Tokyo. How will we defeat it?
You won't, is the short answer.
Either you won't, or the DM knows, and you get to build up to that point. And the other problem is...
it's a fucking Snorlax, is the other problem.
Well...
Because, I am not a huge fan of giving it stats in the first place. I am less of a fan of giving it stats and then making it a thing that's, in most settings where it exists, relatively easy to find that you just don't go fucking with. Because that allows them to go fuck with it. So not only have you given it stats so they want to murder it, you've given them an easy way to go get it. To get murdered by it, in all likelihood. By giving the trash stats and putting it in a setting where it exists, you have now made this campaign about eventually doing that.
Well, I mean, that's a DM problem you have to, kind of make amends, or make peace with, excuse me.
Yeah, but it's bad monster design, and you can easily obviate it by not having the thing in your setting, which is what I usually do. Although, notably, in the fantasy setting I made for that one game that we were talking about earlier, the Tarrasque is there, but it doesn't have stats.
Right.
It's just there.
Well, and this is kind of what I was bleeding into about monster design specifically. I'll try to keep it brief because I think I've covered this before. But most of my big set-piece monster battles were about a feeling more than they were about, actually diminishing the HP bars. Because my players, more often than not, their ability to tackle a challenge rating does not equal the challenge rating presented. Even in 4th edition, where it's really easy to understand what that shit means, as compared to 3rd, I'd be like, hey, you guys, you fight a dragon. Oh, this is going to be and it's dead. And did you lose health, anyone? Just you, barbarian? Because you hit yourself.
I like how you put on Old Man from Legend of Zelda voice.
It's dangerous to go alone. Take this dragon.
Your players have a tendency to be skilled in excess of what the book expects from them.
Sure, and I mean, it's part of it was my fault back in the day when I was handing out magic items
candy. Really.
Yeah,
specifically like candy.
Pop-Tarts. There's a limited amount of them. There's only 6 in a box,
but you were generous with them and always wanted to get more boxes.
Yeah. But it's not like I was giving them crazy shit. Even still, okay, I understand why in my youth, but even that 4th edition game, you guys didn't have magic items. You didn't have shit.
No, in the 4th edition game.
Until Brandy took over.
No, even still, we had magic items. They were just in 4th edition, magic items were built.
Well, yeah, they were regulated. That's right. So you had to have magic items because that's the only way you could fight stuff.
At a certain point, you got this magic item. At level this, you get this magic item.
Right.
At level this, you get this magic item.
But it wasn't.
If you don't get to keep up.
It wasn't ridiculous.
No, being perfectly balanced, following the exact guidelines, we were fucking destroying things. We were fucking clowning boss battles.
Which, I mean, because boy, you roll high. You tend to roll high. Brandy tends to roll higher.
Yeah, Brandy's ridiculous.
And, the other people we're playing with were my mom, our friend Lee, who we've talked about before, and sometimes my sister. My sister is kind of a non-entity. Sometimes she wasn't there, sometimes she was. It wasn't a big deal. Marilyn, usually, that being my mother, had a lot of really great ideas about things to do, and when she did hit, the effect, the impact it would have on the battle was always really
because
important.
While she didn't normally, her rolling
she
to hit
rolls normal.
Perfectly
average.
She usually rolls really good damage.
Yeah.
And she has a really good instinctual grasp of 4th edition. That's why she loves 4th edition. Loves to play it, wants to continue to play it, because she got a really good instinctual grasp of when to use what power.
Yeah.
When's the right time to use that.
What's my rotation? Okay, sweet.
And then she had a very instinctual grasp of when to use her abilities, how they could be used most effectively. She's not exactly the most tactically minded person, but she's really good at that specific thing, which meant any battle she was in, you could count on her to contribute very well.
She was even if she wasn't playing the tank, she was sort of the tank. She was the pivot point around which the battle moved.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lee was all or nothing. He would either do all of the fucking damage and, destroy everything, or he would miss.
Every turn.
There was
12 turns in a row.
And, I mean, this is what I was dealing with. I've got 2 people rolling really fucking high. I've got 2 people who are doing all or nothing, either as damage or as just a great fucking decision to move shit around the battlefield. And then a 5th person who was, there. I don't mean any offense by it, it's how things were, but, it's another body, right? It just...
Whereas I never had this problem.
I don't know, because we played kind of light in your 4th edition games.
Well, also, we were... I never had problems balancing boss encounters.
Well, because you also had me. You didn't have you.
Oh, yeah, there's a difference there.
Like, having Brandy around, it's like, okay, yeah, you give her something fuck off big to fight, and it's going to take her a minute to whittle it down. Having me around, it's like, okay, he rolls like an average human being, so, whatever.
Yeah, but you, see, that's the problem. This is, again, a tangent. We've gone on a lot of tangents in this podcast, but, oh well.
Mostly revolving around monsters.
This is a problem with you. You don't roll very well, but you are absurdly good at fucking breaking my encounters.
Oh, God, yeah.
Like, the encounter, so long as everything goes well, perfectly well balanced. If everything doesn't go well, like if you decide to fucking get a wild hair up your ass and break it, everything is garbage. Everything is trash.
Because I don't roll that great. I roll middling. And middling is usually just enough to be far away enough from what you're supposed to hit to piss you off. So instead of pissing myself off, I'm like, what other shit can I get into?
The other shit is sometimes, this battle's over now, everyone. He's turned the battlefield into chocolate sauce. A real thing that happened once. A real thing that happened.
No, I think you will find that I summoned a manticore from a chocolate fountain. The battlefield was chocolate sauce after the manticore melted.
Yes, the battle's over. He's turned the battlefield into chocolate sauce. Fuck you. I was right.
I still liked my Star Wars campaign plans, which were inevitably crash something into something else. Reap the benefits.
Crash progressively larger things into other progressively larger things.
I'm still mad that I never got to crash a Death Star into a Death Star.
Look, I'm not saying it was ever off the tables, but that campaign ended. All right. Let's turn things around. We're a little over halfway through the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
So, what is a D&D monster you hate to deal with?
Oh, yeah, we talked about with you. I get a little tired of, it's not a specific monster. It's unbalanced situations. And I think that's everybody, so I know it's kind of a shitty answer.
A little.
But, I hate it when, either I'm given something that's obviously too fucking easy, and battle feels like, okay, whatever, who cares, or I'm given something that's obviously too fucking hard. And, I am constantly in fear of death, and this hasn't happened since back in the day. But, we were out fucking going around on random encounters, alright? And you're on the, western coast of whatever continent Elminster lives on in the fucking Forgotten Realms, and you run into a hellhound as a party of characters, none of whom are over 4th level, because that was the magic number in that campaign. Maybe it was 5th, regardless.
5th level is where you get good.
So 4th level. This was 2nd edition. Why? Why a hellhound? Why? First of all, what is he doing in the woods? Second of all, why a fucking hellhound? If you wanted a fire monster, give us fire beetles. They're right fucking there. And then those situations where you go into a dungeon and it's like, okay, you guys fight, I don't know, 90 Duger, whatever. I mean, I like Duger just fine, but it's like, I don't play MMOs because I like beating the shit out of identical monsters.
That's true. I'm sorry, I just see 90 dodge. Move on, go.
That's fair. So why, in a world where I have more freedoms, should I want to fight 90 identical monsters? And 90 is obviously, stretching it, but...
over the course of an entire dungeon? Not really.
Well, no, okay, over the course of an entire dungeon. And that's more accurately what we were dealing with. And, it could be a Duger, it could be goblins, it could be kobolds.
I don't know. 90 kobolds? That's fucking scary.
Well, yeah.
Look,
depending.
90 kobolds in an open field, everything's cool. 90 kobolds in a dungeon.
Prep time.
90 kobolds, they're the Batman of Dungeons
Yeah.
and Dragons monsters, okay? Never give a kobold prep time. Never let them know you're coming.
But that's, I mean, like, I can't think of a monster that I just fucking, I'm like, not this shit. Even the water monsters. Like, the age-old, oh no, never get on a boat in a role-playing game thing. I will, sure. Let's fight some Sahagin. It could be fun.
Because if you get on the boat, the DM will want to use, because there's this whole fucking list of monsters they can never use, because y'all are in the woods, and these things live in the fucking ocean. I got a kraken here, I got 6 aboleths, I got all these fucking Sahagin and deep ones, and fucking Kuatua, and fucking, look at all these cool things. I can never use them, because you guys campaign in the fucking woods. You need to take a ship somewhere? Oh, motherfucker. It's gonna get good up in here.
But yeah, nothing else ever really bothers me, you know.
Just not a monster that you're like, I'm fucking tired of this. I'm tired of this bullshit.
Not at present. I mean, it's been so fucking long since I fought anything, again, other than humans, or sentient beings. Doesn't fucking matter.
Murdering sentient beings is more fun, I think.
It's more story intensive, you know, I mean...
You know what? There's a monster I'm not tired of, but there's a really awful joke that's really tired and played out that I still love. I love gelatinous cubes, because there's always 10 by 10 room for Jello.
I love gelatinous cubes too, because they should be writable. And they can be, with the right stuff.
Yep.
I like oozes. I like it when monsters are set up with a little oomph.
I don't like the other oozes very much.
They're not as cool, but they are cool. Black puddings are cool.
Black puddings are okay, gray oozes are lame.
Yeah.
I don't like the other oozes very much. I like gelatinous cubes. I like them because they are cubes for no discernible reason. It's a monster that has evolved specifically to piss off adventurers, and I like that. Much like the rust monster.
Oh my god, I had a campaign once. I don't even know if I talked about this on the podcast, maybe. There was this gigantic fuck-off gelatinous cube that roamed the countryside. And, like, there was stuff in it. Because it, like, ate, I mean, it just fucking ate. You know? And adventurers would be like, we will kill the gelatinous cube. We haven't been killed by the gelatinous cube. All of our cool stuff is in the gelatinous cube.
So anyone who can kill the gelatinous cube has essentially, like, fucking punched the question block filled with amazing treasures.
That gelatinous cube ended a party. They were like, they did the Tarrasque thing. They were like, let's fight that thing. We could get all of its cool stuff. Nope. It got your cool stuff.
And it puts it with all the other cool stuff it has.
You know what? Rock baboons. Fuck rock baboons. I am still bitter about it to this day.
I think you've told this story.
I have, but my first character death was to a fucking rock baboon. Of all fucking things. Not even an orc. We literally just got out of a dungeon full of orcs. Outsmarted them, feeling great, heading back to town, rock baboons. Jesus.
That's fair.
But, I mean, that's not even, like, it's not a monster. It's just a baboon that lives in the rocks.
It's also, it's a baboon. Baboons are dicks.
Big baboons are dicks. But yeah, I guess goblins are kind of played out. Like, I see a goblin and I'm like, really? That's all you got? Yeah.
You got a goblin? I don't use goblins that much.
I prefer goblins as, like, as a, you know, cultured race. And I don't mean, like, high culture, but I mean, like WoW goblins as an example.
Yeah, I don't use goblins. Thinking on it, I don't know that I've ever used goblins for anything. They just don't come to... If I need something small that isn't a high challenge rating, but can be interesting, I use a kobold.
Right.
If I need something crafty and, you know, dangerous without being very large, I use, like, fucking, you know, dick halflings, or maybe gnomes.
Or more kobolds.
Or more kobolds.
Extra kobolds. 3 kobolds stacked on top of each other.
Or dwarves or something. I don't use... If I need a green skin, I use an orc. And I don't use goblins for fucking anything, man.
I can't remember running into a goblin in your campaigns.
They're not very interesting.
I like them just fine. I played a goblin for half a breath. But, just not a huge fan of them, I guess. I mean, but it's not like I hate.
No, they're boring.
I've seen people make them do interesting things, but... Like baseline.
Anything interesting I would have a goblin do, I'd rather have a kobold do. Yeah. I like them better.
Well, a lot of people use goblins to be kind of tribal.
I like 2nd edition kobolds, I believe.
We have discussed this. Our kobolds are not baby dragon monsters. They're furry dog people.
That's what I see when you say the word kobold.
Like, I mean, in all of my custom settings where kobolds are a thing, they are just sized up jerboas. Jerboa. Google it. That's what they look like, but about 3 or 4 feet tall.
With slightly more humanish features because they're sentient and talk to people.
Well, right.
But yeah. That's what I use for kobolds now because I didn't used to. I used to use like little tiny fucking dog people. I see sized up jerboas now because I'm so used to it.
Yeah, but, is there ever a monster that you wanted to fight, you didn't get the chance to, and you're kind of like, man.
Aboleths.
Just aboleths, yeah. There's a lot of potential for cool storylines.
No, I fought some beholders. Beholders are fun to fight. Because they're dicks. There is like another monster that I love, that I never got the opportunity to fight. Rakshasa.
You know what? I was thinking the same thing. I've never had a campaign where a DM was like, let's get a Rakshasa in here to fuck with the party for a while. I mean, it's just like it's like the Mind Flayer thing. They are just a different breed of super wizard. But I've never gotten to fight one.
They're a backwards hands tiger, man. I love that.
Yeah, they're shifty.
Have I ever told the listener about that thing my brain does sometimes?
What's that?
I've told you about this. I don't know what the deal is, and if I have a tumor listener, please let me know.
WebMD says.
Every now and again, my brain begins telling me very ardently that my hands are backwards. Huh. Like, they feel backwards. Like I should be closing them the other way. And I'm not fucking around you. That's a real thing that happens every now and again. It always made me feel, connected to the Rakshasa, yeah.
So I answered the question earlier. It wasn't really a question. I more made the comment. My favorite non-standard monstrous race to play is Gnolls. Just period, hands down. Do you have a monstrous race you like to play? Or would like to play?
I think we've covered this on the podcast many times. I play a lot of humans.
You do, but I'm asking, outside.
I played a diva once.
Yeah, but they're like...
let's be fair, I play divas all the time. I played a deva once. Hey-oh!
There's that sass dragon.
I love the sass dragon. The sass dragon is my fucking persona now, okay? Anyway... I played a deva once. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, they're not really monsters, though.
No, they have an entry in the monster manual.
Well, so do halflings.
I play a lot of halflings, too.
Halflings are fucking monsters.
I don't know. There's no monstrous race. There's nothing I would call a monstrous race that really appeals to me. Orcs, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't mind playing orcs. Orcs are cool. Orcs can be pretty badass, actually.
Yeah, I like orcs.
I don't like half-orcs so much. If you're gonna fucking do orcs, do orcs.
Well,
if you're gonna do orcs, do orcs. What the fuck? What's this half-orc?
There's a lot of, lawful good for life kind of guys who are like, an orc cannot be an adventurer. Orcs are the evil spawn of, insert XP for Sauron here.
Morgoth. Yes, I know the joke I just made. Don't pee your pants, nerds.
Pee your pants.
And then tell us about it in the comments. And then like the video. And subscribe.
We should have a t-shirt, and then buy our t-shirt. But we didn't have t-shirts. Because there's 10 of you.
That'd be a very quick sale.
Yeah.
Quicker because you wouldn't buy it.
Yeah. Fine, I'll wear the t-shirts. It looks good.
What's a weird little bit you've done where you're bitterly putting on a t-shirt?
Sorry, that was an entirely visual joke. Oh, man.
But, I can't think of a monstrous race. Tornax. What the fuck was he? Little tiny people about elf size. Have wings. Gloaming.
Yeah, Gloamings.
Gloaming was fun as shit to play. I didn't play one for very long, but I love that character.
Yeah, Tornax was cool. I liked him. You played him over 2 different campaigns.
Yep, couple different campaigns.
Yeah, he's a pretty cool guy. I don't know, man. It's just not much to say. I would feel remiss if we didn't talk about how much I appreciate the Flumph.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they're back.
We've mentioned the flumps before.
Yeah.
When we reviewed the other stuff from 5th edition, we talked about how much we love flumps.
I like golems a lot, even though I never really use them. I like stuff that's made out of stuff. And I like having different categories and shit. It's like part of why I like Pokemon, I think.
I like Koatoa now that Happy Koatoa.
Yeah, now that really jazzed Koatoa's there, he makes everything better, man.
I hate genies. All genies. I fucking hate them. I hate
Because
them.
you never fight them. It's just a way for the DM to invent reasons to fuck you over.
It's just a way for a DM to mousetrap your ass. Puts the cheese on the little thing and waits for you to reach your hand in so you can get hurt.
I had a DM that every wish you ever wished for was like that.
Yeah, it's most DMs, actually. In many role-playing game systems, they're encouraged to act like jackasses.
Oh, no. Not just with Jin. Any wish.
Yeah.
Fucker, if you used the spell wish.
In 2nd edition, there was, I think in the rules, it encouraged DMs to be a jackass.
Oh, I mean, that might have been.
To be incredibly literal.
They were harder days.
In 3rd edition, it mentions, alright, it can do these things that you don't fuck with. If they ask you to do one of these things, that works just fine. If they ask you to do something that's the same amount of gooding as these things, that's just fine. If they ask you to do something else, you have our permission to be a prick.
Which, I mean, that was fun. Because you and your buddies all got around the table and you're like, we're going to word this perfect.
We're going to write a fucking contract.
Write it down.
It's going to be 12 pages, there's going to be addendums, there's going to be sub-clauses. Fuck you, we're getting our wishes. But that's the thing with genies is it doesn't work. It never works because the DM just, if you're too good, and I've had this happen, they start being a real jackass. Well, that's fine, but all these words mean something else in this language from this other dimension, so I'm going to drop a whale on you.
Hey, free will.
No, you're dead.
Oh. What if I catch the whale? Is it 3rd edition? I roll to catch the whale. I succeed.
No, it's 2nd edition.
Oh, well, fuck.
Yeah, you're fucked.
I'm fucked.
But it's just, I hate genies. I hate genies. I hate fighting genies. This is not my complex relationship with undead. I hate genies. I hate Ifriti. I hate I hate Jinn. Because nothing good ever comes of them. If you beat them, whoop-de-fuck. You don't really get anything more than any other monster of that level. If you don't beat them, you die. If you try and use them for their magic, for the only thing that makes them interesting at all, you get fucked. Nothing good comes of fighting them. There's no reason.
Yeah, the more I think about it, I just haven't had a lot to do with monsters in D&D in general. Audiugs, I like audiugs.
And
I like trolls, but not D&D trolls. But I see D&D trolls, and I'm like, oh, I like trolls. Oh, wait, not you guys.
Yeah, you're right. There's just not a lot.
Every time I sit down and I'm like, oh, we never played a campaign in this kind of setting. Oh, I'd love to do that. We go there, and because I don't use monsters, or whoever I'm playing with doesn't really use monsters anymore. It's like, oh, okay, we're good, we're here, but it's the same shit as everywhere else.
There are people, they are dicks, you fight them.
Hey, what are you gonna do?
It's just, yeah. I suppose drow.
I like fighting drow. I like being drow. I like drow in general.
Committed drow genocide once. I think we all know I like fighting drow.
Yeah. I like them because they got their little sleepy stuff. That's interesting.
I like their power sets in general.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
I don't like Drist. Or the millions and millions of Drists he spawned.
Yeah. It's such a good archetype, though.
That was done so ridiculously try-hard.
Oh my god.
That it was ruined. It's a really cool concept that was ruined because it was try-hard.
Yeah,
one of his sword's name is isn't one of his swords named Icing Death? That's even a shitty name for a sword.
No, it's like Twinkle and Snow Butterfly or some shit.
I'm pretty sure Icing Death. I fucking will remember Twinkle. Because that's the worst name for a fucking sword ever.
You might be right. It might be Frosting Death or whatever.
Colding Bad. That's the worst fucking name for a thing. Oh my god, that is awful. You might as well name it Double Stab. No, Double Stab's better, actually.
Where's it talking about this Twinkle? Sparkle?
It'd be like naming a fire sword Burning Kill.
Well, it doesn't... that's frustrating.
Don't fucking go beyond
No,
Wiki.
wait, there it was. Icing Death.
Fucking knew it.
Wow.
I knew it.
I thought for sure it was like something dumber. I mean, that's dumb. I just thought it was dumber.
How could it be dumber than that? Icing isn't... I mean, it's not a... That's not fucking... There's much cooler ways to convey this thing does frost damage.
Maybe it sounded cooler in his native tongue.
Fucking refer to it by its native tongue, okay?
I'm tired of looking at this. I read the book moons ago. I don't need to look at it now. I think that's really all I have to say about monsters. I would love to talk with you, listener, about monsters. If you hit me up on Twitter, I pretty much answer questions.
If you hit me up on Twitter, I'm less likely to answer questions, but for you listener, I just might.
So yeah, if you want to talk about monsters or anything else, our tweeters are in the description, along with that Super Blizzard Shining Ozada link. And to my books, if you wanted to buy my books, we don't have t-shirts, but I forgot my fucking books. It's Colt Regan. I have 4 books. Did you know that? Did you not know that? Go fucking buy them, please. And thank you. Thank you for listening.
They're actually really good.
But we got all kinds of topics now, though. So we got wrestling for the next 2 weeks, but then we got all kinds of other cool shit. And,
some of them are very difficult.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be some fucking harrowing experiences here in the Two Nerds household.
But, I think it'll be fun, and I think the more fun aspect of it will be sitting down and sharing our ideas and exchanging information and our trials and tribulations, as we do weekly.
Because everything's better when nerds talk about it.